I remember I used to say, I don't want to hear where do you want to be in 5 years in Anita, because I don't know. That's how, at that stage in my life, that's how much I didn't know. But I don't tell people who go and be working on your weakness. Please, you have strengths. Just go and build on. But be aware that this is a grey area for me. I think there's a lot of pressure to have it figured out. If you want to do something great, you have to be comfortable with the idea of looking foolish initially.
Yeah.
You just have to be comfortable. There's something I recently used to say that being loved at home is a big flag. One of the things that I found that people that think that they're creative is that they're so stuck in the fact that I'm so good at this thing that they're not even self-aware to know the things that they don't know.
Hello guys, welcome to yet another episode of Stories and Journeys, where we explore the transformative power of learning, growth, and resilience. Join us as we uncover untold narratives and ignite curiosity. Joining us here today, she's a business leader, someone I think that you'll learn so much from, and she currently occupies a fantastic role as the portfolio director for South, West, and Central Africa with Diageo. She's no other person than the amazing Kemi Longe. Hi, Kemi.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
So thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So it's been about 15 years, when you think about it, career-wise. How's that journey been like for you as a person?
It's been many twists and turns, but one of the things I sit down is, how is it 15 years, right? But I think one of the things that I would see has helped that 15 years go so fast or feel so fast is the fact that I was happy to pivot every time, this doesn't look quite like it's going to happen. Let me pivot. So I have a background in engineering, by the way. I think we've talked everything commercial. So yeah, I think the pivoting and just the openness to that has made the 15 years gone so fast. But hey, I wouldn't change anything about it.
Beautiful. That's quite interesting. I mean, it's talking about studying engineering, or it's okay to call you an engineer, even if what you're doing now is more around marketing and communications and helping brands, deliver value, connect to their target audience of consumers and drive revenue for businesses. But when you think back at those early days, at African Petroleum, as a graduate trainee, what were those values? What was it like for you, going into the labor market, for the first time as a graduate trainee? What was it like for you? And when you connect the dot, to where you are now currently, what would you say, sort of helped you, get to this level?
That's a fantastic question. And maybe I've not had some time to think about it, but it's interesting. My first exposure to the labor market was actually industrial attachment, which I know they do in 5-year courses. I don't think 4-year courses they do it, because I have siblings who did a 4-year course, right? And that's a very good thing. I think most courses should try to do that, which is African Petroleum. I used to say I used to be a math girl through and through. I knew that numbers would not tell you lies. 1 + 1 is 2. Human beings would do like this until they get to the point. They would express it. Then you need to find the insights and all of that. But what that did for me was understand that everything in the world, including dealing with consumers, customers, your colleagues, human beings, had either an art or a science to it, right? 1 + 1 may not be 2 for a human being, because he has feelings, he has nerves, he has everything running biologically.
Yeah.
But when you sit to find out and dig deeper, there's probably a 1, 2, 3, 4 steps why this person did this. I think then my real major exposure, apart from NYSC, was interestingly being a sales front desk person, selling at a gadget store. Was an authorized Apple reseller on Ozuka.
Superior Equipment Limited.
Superior Equipment, and shout out to Chukuma and Chooks, right? Fantastic. That was my real first exposure to people, and I was selling. And I think that was one of the first places I was like, well, it's not, human beings are not that bad, right? I don't need to relate with my Excel sheets and numbers, because I realized I needed to convince them to do something. how did I need to convince them? And it was Apple. So yeah, it was a little more pricey than your regular device. So you needed to tell them the reason to believe and all of those things. And for me, I started to get some interest in, being a commercial person, as much as I really loved my engineering and I wanted to go back to it. And fast forward, somebody said, hey, I saw something in Guinness. I think you'd be a good fit. You should try to apply. And then, hey, FMCG ropes me in tight. And here I am. Yeah. But what I would say in summary with my first two exposures was with anything you do with consumers, with customers, with human beings, there's always a 1, 2, 3 steps that would lead to another thing, right? Yeah, it may not look right, especially when we're dealing with consumers. It may not feel right. How does somebody say, I brush my teeth with something first, then I now use my chewing stick? It may not feel logical in your head, for example, but somehow when you try to dig deep, go behind the facts, you find the insights that you're looking for.
Beautiful. So speaking about insights, you worked in the FMCG space for a very long time. Working with GSK, they started with Unilever.
Yes, Unilever.
Leading a very fantastic category around, home care, wellness at GSK as well. Then fast forward to when you were with PZ Cousins, on to fantastic brands, Harriet Cole, Premier Cole, all of those brands. So speaking about insight and kind of, people that you service, with the product, what role would you say insight plays, when it comes to building a brand, and running a successful brand?
Right. First, Hire is not PZ Cousins. It's Hire Thermocool, but it's part of the PZ group. So I was working with PZ Cousins. In terms of insight, pretty much insights is everything that you need to get to consumers. Is a human truth, right? Is a human truth. Is not newsflash, Naira has depreciated, right? But there's an insight behind why I, as a mom, now think that I need to buy 2 cartons of biscuits rather than buying it in pieces because I feel like I can manage my funds better, right? So insights is like when you keep peeling the onion until you get to that real human truth as to why the person is exhibiting all of those behaviors, right? Because people actually just do things. They're not pausing to think, insights, consumer, the business now showed me TVC. They're just living every day. Maybe because sometimes I overcalculate things because I'm in the consumer marketing world and I know that this person is behaving this way because, there's this insight. So you watch some people in a store and they have a map. They don't even know that they have a map. And that's because most moms start from maybe the kids area first because they have to sort out the kids first. It's almost a default setting for them. So they will go to maybe where there's biscuits or where there's diapers or where, depending on the age of their children, and it's almost default setting. And they probably go to personal care second to the last, maybe food next. So, and maybe men go to, somewhere first because of how they're wired, and some people have a map. So insight is actually what drives how people behave. And for you to do any successful thing in communicating to anybody, first of all, how they behave, why they behave the way they behave is what you understand. Because once you understand that, then you can go in there and make a change, either recharge their cause, which is why maybe we'll then put a gondola end in the store to trigger them to move a different way, or we'll get a brand ambassador in the store to stop them in their tracks because they have a map.
Interesting. That's new to me, but that's some really beautiful insight. It makes sense when you think about it, because there's certain products that are placed in certain places, within the store, and you're not planning to pick it up, but because it's there and you just feel like, okay, I need this, and I think that's supposed to be insight. Yeah,
interesting. We once ran a campaign where we put the Maclean's milk teeth at the toy area. We're saying, look, it's just the peer pressure of the child, I'm not looking for milk teeth for a child, but I'm at the toy area. The child is going to stress the life out of me, and it's toothpaste that we need. So why not? So, or putting, so sometimes you need to stop people in their tracks because they already have patterns, which is the insight you need to get. What is this person's pattern? My target audience is male 25 to 35 who is getting ahead in life. So it typically will not stop at the low-end product. He'll go to the mid-range. He's not buying premium yet. And I stop him in his track there, right? Or my target is kids, but moms are like, oh, we're going to buy one toothpaste for everybody anyway. You're an adult now, don't stress me. But I make sure that our kids pester her into buying what I want her to buy. And that's where their chocolates are the chill points. Because every time I've eaten chocolate this year, I pick it from the chill points. Because I'm just queuing and the thing is saying, hey, come here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I have some cash. I have some, before it used to be $20. Well, I have some cash. Let me get some Tom chewing gums.
Beautiful. I mean, thinking about it now, the science and heart behind it, just makes sense, which I think because of the level of, great work you've done, within the industry, you've spoken at several events, shared inside a different fora, I want to ask you this question specifically, so for a person that is, looking or aspiring, to get to that level, of being able to creatively do stuff, he or she thinks that I'm creative, I can do this, what would you say sort of helped you, and made you stand out, when it comes to the kind of work that you do that could be of value to that person out there?
Interesting. I think first of all, being open to growth, so continuous learning. One of the things that I've tried to do is realize I don't think I've known the most of this thing, right? So it could be my direct reports that I find that this person sounds like they know this thing in little one. I'm saying, hey, do you have 30 minutes or 1 hour in your calendar? Can you take me to this thing? And then just practicing. So one of the things is people tend to say, oh, my Excel is great. I've never once ever taken an Excel course. And
all self-taught?
All self-taught. So I need to do something and it's taking 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I'm like, no, there has to be a formula that does this thing, right? So I think curiosity is also quite important. You need to be curious. I think you need to be self-aware. One of the things that I've found that people that think that they're creative is that they're so stuck in the fact that I'm so good at this thing that they're not even self-aware to know the things that they don't know. Sometimes enough to know that I don't know this thing.
Interesting.
So sometimes I'm not telling you, I don't tell people, oh, go and be working on your weakness. Please, you have strengths. Just go and build on it. But be aware that this is a green area for me.
Interesting.
And so that you are guarded. Even as a woman in this industry, I tell people, women that are working, even are not working, homekeepers, you can't have it all at the same time. So, I know that. So if it means me getting a nanny and a help and a driver or whatnot within the limits of what I earn, obviously, I'll do that. Or if it means bringing my mother or bringing my cousin. But if I'm not aware of the fact that the platforms are not equal. For me and the man, I was away for 6 months on maternity leave. He was there, he had FaceTime. The platforms are no longer equal. So if I'm delusional, like they say, you're in your delulu land thinking, oh, but I'm great. They need to know I'm creative. So once I'm back from mat leave, they need to know that I got it. No. You need to know what your weak points are. I'm a woman that is interested in having kids. So at some point in my career, I'm going to have to step away from work. And that could mean 4 months, that could mean 6 months. There are other people who are competing for the same spots that I'm competing for that have had FaceTime during that period. You are not on a level playing field anymore. Because I am aware, I will ensure that my environment allows me to balance. But if I'm not aware of what I don't know, then I will continue to struggle. I feel like everybody doesn't like me. The world is against me. So yeah, you need to be open to growth, be aware, self-aware, curious, and be aware of not just your strengths, but those things that could be your pitfalls.
Find out very interesting because for a woman, not just a mother now, and a first-time mother, it can be very challenging, listening to what you just said now, especially for someone that is career focused. For a lady out there now, recently just got married, she just gave birth to her first child, the child has colic, those initial phases.
I know it.
Trying to go through that phase of life, How would you say, or what did you, yes, you had help, the platform is not even meant for men or women, or even women, depending on the life stage, right? Looking at that and the life stage you're currently in, having gone through that, what were the things that kept you grounded, that sort of helped you remain focused, and such that when you go back, or resume back to work, you were able to deliver? What were those things that you sort of did or leverage on?
First of all, I was in 100 when I got back to work. I used to remember going to the restroom to cry because I'd left my baby back home. It was that difficult. And I had not the idea of saying, maybe I just stay at home. It just makes sense because I resumed maybe when my child was 3 months and I had to drop her. However, I'll say one of the first things that I had the privilege of was a great support system in family. Right, my partner was great. My parents were great. My dad was happy to back my baby. So I had that, right? But some people will not, right? I think for me, it was also then going was one day at a time, right? I wasn't, like I said, and it's not necessarily delusional, but I was saying, okay, what are the odds I was away, right? It means there are probably new people in the system that know nothing about what I believe my capabilities are, no matter how great, right? I remember, I think at the time I was back, either someone that was my HR business partner or somebody had even left. So anybody that had the greatest records of me was out of the system. So obviously they left handover notes and all of that. But one of the things was I was aware of the fact that I needed to prove myself in this new times, while I needed to make choices about this is the time I would give to my family, right? If that then came at a disadvantage and maybe I might have moved faster or slower or cross lanes at that point, it's possible. But I was very clear, I'd be able to give this much at work and I'll be able to give this much at home. Because I believe in life that we just need to have trade-offs. Right. For the first few years of my children's life, I knew I wanted to bath them at least half the week. And I wanted to pick them up from school half the week. Myself. Sometimes my children were the last children in school. And they would call me and keep saying, "Where are you, Ma?" And, I felt a pinch of mom guilt, and the teacher and the children would be at the gate waiting for me. But it didn't mean that I didn't leave a meeting where people roll their eyes when I had to say, "I'm sorry, I really need to go right now because of my kids." Not because they're wicked people, but it's just but we also need you here.
True.
Right? I think life is in phases. It would pass. Just be sure that you're present and you're giving your very best at every moment in time. I believe in the supernatural, and I guess the God, whatever you believe in, will take care of the rest.
It's beautiful. Something you said that stood out for me was when you said, when you believe your capacity. For most people that are successful, there's always that phase where they have to believe in certain things. They believe in an idea, they have to believe in themselves, take a bet on themselves. When you think about it, so let's pick, one of your first time at Diageo, doing what you were doing before you crossed to Unilever. How did you become, the person you grew into, to got that role? Because obviously there was growth that happened. You had acquired experience and all of those things. How did you become?
Interesting. I think Diageo was like my first stint into FMCG, right? And of course, I got sucked in. And I was an RDM. If you know anything about the role, is that role where you drive a truck and you have crates of beer in your boat, and had to drive from one end of Lagos to the other. And nicely, I was in K2 territory, and then mile 12, like the top of the tops, mile 12, and I had to cover for Ikorodu at some point, right? And for me, it was an eye-opener to say, okay, you're not under Mama and Dada's wings anymore. Did I know how much of a capacity that I had? Maybe not. So I knew I had good grades in school. I knew there was something about having good grades and didn't just come from just existing, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know it that clearly. And that's what I tell younger people, because I don't want to say young people because I'm quite young, right? People that are younger, to say, I think there's a lot of pressure to have it figured out. There's just too much pressure. Like, you go on social media, you listen to people, and it's just like, I knew it from when I was 21 that I didn't know it. I knew nothing. I just knew I needed to be present today. Give my very best that I had today. And then we pick it up tomorrow.
Beautiful.
I remember I used to say, I don't want to hear, where do you want to be in 5 years in an interview? Because I don't know. That's how, at that stage in my life, that's how much I didn't know. But I think one thing was clear. And I remember, my dad, clearly I'm very close to my family, used to say, you are the best at everything that you do. And you need to give that best. Being the best, and because you got good grades in school doesn't mean that best is it can be extrapolated. You need to give it today. And for me, that was it. You need to give that best today, right now, the very best of your capacity that you can. And then you pick it up tomorrow. I think the path gets clearer with time. There's too much pressure to just have it figured out. Too much.
Yeah, interesting. Because while you were speaking, I just thought about it. K2. My 12.
Yeah, my truck got into gutters when I was, because you can't see your revenue. It was an interesting experience.
Interesting.
I got into that thing that it built. I had to drag my beer out.
Did that pay off?
Oh yes.
How?
One of the things I'll not give up with my sales experience, because when I went to Unilever, I was doing sales for years. It makes you such a great, rounded marketing person. You're not seeing things from your penthouse. There's also this thing where salespeople think that marketing people just sit in their penthouse of cost center, and because you can empathize, you understand, right? It's different.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, and because I was coming from a core, in quote, science background, and I was also by nature, a reserved person, I needed that jolt into reality to understand, human beings are more feisty than numbers, right? Numbers will follow, once you follow first principles, numbers will align just the way you want them to align. Once you plot the chart well, the PowerPoint or the Excel sheet will give you what you need it to give you, but human beings have twists and turns. So yeah, it paid off. I wouldn't trade that for anything. It was tough. It was quite interesting. It was challenging. Fiscally, it was challenging. We still have to go for back calls. Yeah, but I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade my sales experience in Unilever too. Interestingly, I was in K2. My market was my 12, the biggest savory market in Nigeria at the time. And I remember the pepper from the people who used to get into my eyes. But it was cool. It was nice.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm just picturing myself, what it would look like then. Not like what it looks like now.
It was I had the boots in my car, like those boots when you're going for train. It was nice. I could do
Oh wow.
It was nice.
Interesting. That's beautiful. Let's dial back a bit. What was growing up like for you?
Growing up was a little different from how I perceive my parents now. Interestingly, I've mentioned them a few times.
Yeah.
So, all those kids they do on Instagram of African parents. Oh, 110. My father and my mother are the poster children. In fact, now I need to reverse. So they say, is it me? You just got children? Are the poster parents for the African parents. You couldn't come back late. You couldn't have boyfriend, but you had to marry at a certain age and all of that. But as I grew up, I realized that it was their way of expressing love. That's the way they knew, right? And the more we are closer now as an adult, they're still like that. Like right now, I believe my mom comes here and she says something, I have to, be quiet because I can't talk over her head. Even if I'm frustrated and I really want to say it. But it was a little different. It was the regular, you feared your parents. And sometimes I go on social media and all that and see, I was in school and I went to a party and you posted, you're dying, my friend. You are dying, my friend. And I think with my house, one of the interesting things, there was no way coming back home with an exam that you didn't pass. How would I say? It's not possible in real life that you didn't pass an exam. It's not humanly possible. It can't happen. You can't even allow it. You can't fathom the consequences. So it's not going to happen, right? But I remember once I started having a problem, an issue in uni with a particular course, and I saw a different side of my parents. And my mom came to school, And I was like, okay, they're not as mean as they. So I think it was just a way of showing love. It was good growing up. I was from a very, we're not the known families or anything, but I went to fairly great schools. I think one of the things I'll see my parents did for us, and when my siblings are talking about it, is they gave us the best they could in terms of education and exposure. So they made sure that we're exposed to maybe things that they probably weren't exposed to. So I went to really good schools. Sometimes I run into people now, that are doing really great or in nice brand. And we went to school together. So even that, I feel like they give us some leverage. And, I'm not one person that, probably went to school with somebody that knows somebody. And my siblings were fantastic. We have a great relationship with having a conversation with, somebody said, your siblings' children, I know your children. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know if you're not loved at all. Me.
This was my own.
This was my own, I'm sorry. So growing up, we're from a very close-knit family. My parents drummed it into us that we needed to love each other. We're the only ones that we have. It's a really small family. And yes, my parents love us too. My dad would do just about anything for us.
Beautiful. Well, that's sweet. Do you think that the way your family is or was at the time also contributed to the kind of person you turned out to be?
Oh, yes. There's something I recently used to say that being loved at home is a big flex. I've seen many people that act in certain ways, and when you check, there's a fundamental problem there. Yeah. You can, sometimes people sometimes you're a little too patient with situations, and I'm only trying to empathize with this person to understand why would they logically even want to do anything this weird. And then when you dig, you realize that love from home is an important thing that I wish a lot of people
enjoy,
right? And one thing I try to do is, if they didn't have it, I can at least give it. Unfortunately, sometimes they can't take it because they don't even understand it. Like they're like, what's this weird thing that this person is coming at me with, right? But yes, I think my growing up shaped pretty much everything that I am. Like I said, one of my siblings had said, hey guys, I'm not working this place again. No. If I come and ask you people for money, sorry, goodbye. And that was it. And the next day, say, I'm here, thanks. And it was cool with everybody, and everybody was always calling. My mom would call, are you sure it's okay? You push go and check him in his house. So like everybody was, you know, and of course that didn't last for too long. So yes, I think it has everything to do with who I am today. Like growing up, maybe not as fantastic as I wanted it to be in my head at the time, because I couldn't go out with friends and all of that. But I can't deny that the love was present. And for me, helps me just, empathy is one of my biggest values. I don't need to sympathize with you, but I just need to be able to see it from your point of view to say, okay, well, this person could be acting weird or acting great because of certain things.
Makes sense. And when you think about leadership, that sort of helps you, become a great leader.
Oh yeah, empathy for me is great. Like as a leader, I think if the more we empathize, the better we're able to relate with people. Unfortunately, empathy sometimes is met with, like I said, if someone that doesn't understand, it feels like you are even coming at me funny. It feels weird to them, right? But you can't change yourself because other people don't get it. Of course, there's a room for growth. If I think there's something, if feedback I keep getting that is not very good, I'm like, okay, I need to check myself. But yeah, as leaders, I think empathy is important.
Beautiful. So speaking about empathy being one of your strengths, and you also mentioned curiosity being one of your strengths, I want to quickly, move very nicely to talk about personal branding. You have a personal brand, as most people would know, and everybody does have a personal brand, depending on if they're aware of it or not. But there's always
if you decide to grow it or not, not or focus on it or not.
Yeah, but people always have a perception about you as a person. So talking about personal branding, how have you been able to, leverage all of those trends, identify them and sort of create a brand for yourself?
I think the first few times I thought of, okay, you are somebody else apart from working at GSK, working at Unilever, working at PZ, working at, Guinness. Or there has to be something else, right? Like I said before, to be honest, I didn't have it figured out. I didn't say, so when I started at the end, I want to be speaking here and I want this person to know me for this. I would just project whatever it is that you have in your head and project it as professionally as you can, right? And for me, the more I did it, which is why I say you need to practice, the more I did it, or I put myself out there, or I projected myself, the more comfortable I became doing it. Because I say, if you want to do something great, you have to be comfortable with the idea of looking foolish initially. You just have to be comfortable. So I probably will look at maybe a first conversation I had on a big stage and probably see, yikes, what was I saying? Right? But because I'm looking at it in hindsight. And for me, one of the things that drove me to try to start that was, I'll just say something at a conversation, a meeting, somebody's coming to me and say, oh, that's really fantastic. I just like the way you can put ideas together. I'm like, okay. But this was just something random I didn't prepare, right? Because I'm very big on preparing for stuff, no matter how naturally it comes to me. But like the most random thing I didn't prepare for, they were like, oh, I really like that. It's, well, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe you have something to give to people. Maybe you have something to teach people. And so I'm like, okay, I'll project it from a point of, oh, anybody that hears that. Sometimes, even if I need a video, maybe 3 people saw it. I'm like, okay, moving on. At least those 3 people would have been impacted. So yeah, I didn't have it figured out. Do I have it more figured out that I did a year ago? Yes. Do I have it fully figured out? No. Do I feel more comfortable projecting myself as a person or not as an employee of an organization? Oh yes, I'm more comfortable. Do I get cold feet sometimes say, I'm going to be like, really? Does she think she's big enough to be doing that? Oh yes, I do.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I like that. I mean, that's confidence, right? And like what you just said now, it comes from a place of trying out things and gradually becoming comfortable. You know, so for anyone that's trying to build a personal brand for themselves, they need to also find themselves, you know, and try to be comfortable being themselves, you know. And so that's what people say: just keep doing and being you. And going back to what you said earlier, see each day as an opportunity to do your best. Looking at your family, right? The family upbringing you had, looking at the kind of amazing career you've had, you know, and the kind of impact you're driving within the industry. For a young boy, young girl out there that is not so clear on where the next meal is coming from, you know, the person is perhaps from a family that has love as well, but they're not so financially buoyant, you know, person is struggling, you know, just trying to make ends meet and wants to be a successful person, you know, we wants to be a marketing manager someday, you know. What would be your recommendation or advice to such a person?
Okay, so I think one of the things that breaks people is not being able to fend for yourself. It's a tough place to be, and I would not be in denial of that. It's a very tough place to be, but again, like I said, I believe in the supernatural. Every situation passes. There are times that, and for anybody listening, and I'm sure maybe one or two life situations, and you just cannot see it. You just cannot seem to see the next day. Like, it's so bleak. And then you look back 2 years later, and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't die, right? So first of all, it's important to not throw in the towel, especially not having a job and having maybe financial support here and there can be good, but not being where you want to be and being in financial strain, it's a lot more mentally draining. So you need to find a place within you to make sure that that light doesn't die. Because once you get into that, it's a steep slope. Yeah. It's almost like you can get out the rabbit hole. I think another thing that is important is support systems. I've taken support systems for granted for quite a while, but in the last few years, and I realized support system in family, some people are not lucky with friends, but if you can find one or two, trust me, sometimes it's not about the fact that they want to give you money. It's about the fact that somebody just tells you, it's going to be all right. That's all that you need. I think we human beings are not as complicated as we make ourselves to be. Sometimes all you need, and I'm getting quite personal here, is a warm hug from somebody to just tell you it's going to be fine, because you need that to be able to get up and go tomorrow, because you don't know when and it's not a big break, but you don't know when the break will be, right? You don't want to show up to an interview at a multinational that you were at the final stage with sloppy shoulders because you're going through it. At the other end of the interview, the hiring manager at the other end of the interview does not know you're going through it. They just want someone to come correct and sharp, and you may just have lost it because your energy was not right. So because you don't know when the break will come, always good to try and amp up your energy as much as you can. It's tough. Get family, get friends, whoever it is that can help you amp up your energy. And I always tell people, find something to do. Intern. Do something. No experience is wasted. Do something. If I'd come out of school, gotten a job to sell Apple laptops and Apple phones, and I said, I don't understand. Like, why would I be saying, good morning, sir, what do you want to buy today? Yeah, because I was told it was beneath me. And I'm like, I don't understand. Why is it beneath me? right? And sometimes when I tell people, my parents' place was too far. I had to stay at someone's place. And even that, my salary could not cover transport. So I had to do some of the walking to get, but I knew that I just needed to find something doing. So no matter how small, find something doing, intern, so that you keep building experience. Again, you know when the break will come, and any experience can be sold. There are people like me. I'm very into wild cards, for example. I like people I like wild cards. I've been a product of people taking chances on me, so I take chances on people. So sometimes people are into, your experience doesn't match what I'm looking for, but hey, you're smart enough, let's do this. But if there is nothing to bring on the table, so yes, find support, find something doing. But you see, your energy is important. You need to kind of find it somewhere, especially in the scenario you painted when there's financial strain. Financial strain is tough. I've seen people go through financial strain, and I know it's quite tough. But I guess in life, some people are going to be really up there, some people are not going to be. But get that support system and find something doing, and hopefully the break comes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that's quite apt and actionable. Do not let your light die. Keep the fire burning inside of you if you're watching this. Get a support system, your family, friends, and find something doing, no matter how small. No job is beneath you, and always give your best every single day. Thank you so much, Kemi. Before we let you go, any parting shots for our audience?
First one sounds cliche, but believe in yourself. Stay curious. I think curiosity is something that people need to embrace. Be curious, and you need to know what you don't know, because what you don't know can hurt you really bad. Your strengths are great, build your strengths, but you see your weaknesses and those things that you need to know them and just have them on a hang.
Beautiful. Thank you so much once again, for accepting the invitation, and also for sharing, these beautiful gems and insight with us. I've learned so much, and I'm sure the viewers also learned so much from you. I want to say a very big thank you.